I want to go over some of the basic tools and things that you're going to need for putting this laminate flooring down. You're going to need a rubber mallet. You'll need to get one of these hard rubber blocks for tapping the edge and seating your flooring together. You'll need one of these so you can reach up underneath the edge, put that against your vinyl, and then you can tap here. Because if you're up against the wall, you're not going to be able to get in there with that block or the mallet and tap that in there. So you just lay that in there like that, and then you can tap it while you're holding it up and seating it into place. You'll need one of these cutters. Works very nice. Of course, this model here, you have to use this with the thinner vinyl. This doesn't have the backing on it. It's just a thin vinyl, and it'll fit all the way up in there. If it was thicker, it wouldn't clear, and you wouldn't be able to get it seated up against this straight edge. Just works very easily. You just put it in there, line it up where you want it to, and push down, and it snaps it off nice and straight. You'll want a dry erase marker for when you want to mark where you're going to cut. When you're putting down the vapor barrier, you're going to want a 6mm, this is 6mm poly sheeting. When I purchased the flooring, I purchased this as well at the same time. You put that down first on your clean concrete floor. And then since the vinyl I'm using doesn't have any backing, I picked up some of this 2mm underlayment. This will also work as a vapor barrier. It's called a 2-in-1, but I wanted to go with the vapor barrier and this on top of it. Now when you're putting your vapor barrier down, you have to buy this underlayment seam tape. This is really good stuff, and you don't want to use anything other than this when you're putting it down. This is made by Roberts, and you can pick this up at Home Depot or Lowe's, any of the major home supply places. Alright, here's a piece that I have marked out, and it's too long to cut it in the guillotine cutter. I guess you want to call it a guillotine cutter. So I need to cut this with a saw. Now I can cut it with one of these oscillating saws, and it cuts it pretty good, but what it does is it leaves this burnt edge to where it kind of melts it and leaves that along the edge. And what you have to do is you have to take a razor knife, come back and scrape it to get that off, and then clean that side. So it's kind of time consuming. So what I prefer to use is a regular table saw, and this just has a regular wood blade in there, and it cuts it and leaves a really nice clean edge. Let me see, there's probably one here that it cut a little bit. Yeah, left a nice clean edge, and you don't have to dress it off to put it in. So if you have one of these, use it. It's definitely a time saver and makes a nice straight line. Now this piece is a door jamb with a pocket door, and this face here I won't have any baseboard to cover any gaps, so I've got to cut this exactly along the edge of the green, and then this side will be covered with baseboard. Of course there'll be a little bit of baseboard covering here because the pocket door is actually going to fit right into here. So I'm going to take the fence off the table saw, and I'm going to freehand cut it. past the critical side and it's nice and straight. I'll take one of these sanding pieces here and sand it down a little bit. Okay, and that should fit right in there with very minimal gap at all. Okay, let's see how I did. Okay, it's snug. There's hardly any gap in there whatsoever. But to be honest, I cheated on this one. Took a piece of junk mail and cut out a nice 45 in there. That fit right up in there, and then marked it with that. That's a little trick that you can use. It takes the guesswork out of a lot of these little strange corner cuts. And that's going to be another awkward one to cut out. But the rest is square and should go right together fairly easily. there's a technique that I learned after working with this for quite some time. You see how I have the vapor barrier overlapping the edge? You can take your last end piece, lay it right up in there where it needs to go, drop it down in there. Okay, now that you have it where it needs to go, you can grab the edge of this vapor barrier and work it right in there. Now that's laid in there nice and perfect. And then if your baseboard is shorter than this, you can just cut it right along, just shorter than your baseboard. But we got 5 1/4 baseboard, so I'll just leave it just like it is. Put the baseboard right up against it.